what skills, knowledge, experience, and attributes are schools looking for, and has that changed since COVID?
It's a really good question. I think the technology skills are incredibly important now because from a way that people know how to use Zoom and how to use Google Classroom and how to use various management systems like ManageBack and so forth. Whereas teachers, I think, may have put up with them in the past, like, okay, I'll just figure out how to get through it without actually using it. To the point these days where you've almost all got to become an expert in these things. And I think that's one of the most obvious things in pandemic that's gone on. But I'd say the thing that's the skill that international teachers must have, which is again said in the book, international schooling, it's pretty much the number one skill you've got to have is resilience. And if pandemic has taught us anything, it's that not even knowing if you're going to go to school tomorrow and whether or not your class is online, and being able to go with either way that's going to go is a skill that the international schooling book talks about, but never probably considered in the context of pandemic, because you talked about resilience in the fact of, can you handle the culture? Can you deal with the fact that you're a long way from home and your support networks may not be as strong in a new country? Well, obviously won't be as strong as in a new country. How do you deal with the fact that you may have been asked to be a Year 5 English teacher and then you turn up to the school and all of a sudden you're a Year 9 science teacher? It's things like that have happened. So the resilience aspect, which is pretty much the number one thing international teachers need to show, has been brought into the forefront more than ever with pandemic. And I think we, in a post-pandemic world, are going to be continuing to have blended classrooms and hybrid classrooms as a part of life. I don't think it's all going to go back 100% to the classroom, not to the near future as well. But also I think most teachers who are adamant that it's the worst way to teach can now probably, through the experience, understand how it can be used effectively. And even if we do have in classroom again, how can you bring blended teaching into your process and so forth? And I think the reason why it's important is that the schools are clearly going to be looking for demonstrated evidence of how you got through the pandemic and what you did to help with in teaching in the hardest situation that probably any of us have ever taught in. And so you've got great opportunities to tell schools exactly how you are resilient, how you showed that you could succeed even in the harshest of times.
Can I just ask each of you briefly, looking at your own individual attributes that you had before you came into this profession, which of those attributes stands out for you as being the most important that's helped you in your time in Bali and in international schooling?
I think for me, it's being positive. I know Shireen's got an amazing ability to organise us and help do all sorts of things that you've got to really nut through, like getting a visa and all the sort of tin tacks that you have, unsexy, unfun things that you have to do to actually live an international teaching life. But I think what I bring to our relationship in that regards is that I'm pretty positive about the situation we find ourselves in and making sure that we are really enjoying ourselves and just taking the time to see how amazing we are and how lucky we are with the lifestyle that we've chosen for ourselves, and not to get into situations where we're starting to be too negative or too down in the mouth about where we find ourselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
And certainly for myself, I think it's being flexible and being adaptable. Just knowing that you can deal with any situation that is thrown at you, knowing your own value and standing up for yourself and looking after yourself. And if something is not working out in the way that you had hoped, thinking about strategically what else can you do to adapt and to be flexible, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the location. Culture shock was pretty big going to Indonesia on the island of Java. almost no one spoke English apart from the teachers at our school. And so just getting through everyday life was challenging to begin with. I do remember bursting into tears after the ATM swallowed my card for the second time. And yes,
That's familiar.
and also, of course, no one speaking English or being able to help me. And so I think being adaptable, being flexible, just with so many different things, your school, your students, your everyday life, and just I guess learning not to sweat the small stuff. It will be an amazing experience. It's not going to be, of course, like life. It's not going to be 100% positive all the time. There will be hiccups, but it's having that ability to be able to adapt and be flexible, and basically just roll with how it's going.
Really good, great.